Okay guys, so today we're going to go over 17.3, which is subtracting polynomial expressions. So the first thing I want you guys to look at is the essential question: how do you subtract polynomials? And so as we go through, I hope that, once we're done with this, you guys are able to answer that question. So let's go ahead and scroll down. We're actually going to start on page 830 with explain 1. And the first thing that we're going to look at is to subtract polynomials, rewrite the subtraction as addition of the opposite. So we see that we have 5x plus 2 minus negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. When they rewrote it, they distribute that negative to each term. And as you can see, a negative times a negative 2x is going to give us a positive. A negative times a negative 3x is going to give us a positive 3x. And a negative times a positive 4 is going to give us that negative 4. Okay, and so then we're going to use the vertical method, and we're going to write in OX squared as a placeholder, and then we're going to combine like terms. So for this one, you guys don't need to write anything, right? We're just reviewing it. When we get to B right here, you'll go ahead and take notes with me. But I do want you guys to see that they are doing it vertically, right? And so we have our x squares here. We have our x's, and then we have our constants, okay? And so if we go ahead and scroll down, let's look at B. We're going to do the same exact thing. So the first thing that we need to do is distribute this negative sign. And so when we distribute that, we're going to have a negative times a negative 2y squared, and that's going to give us a positive 2y squared. We're going to have a negative times a positive y, which is going to give us a negative y. And then we're going to have a negative times a positive 1, which is going to give us a negative 1. Okay? And then in order to rewrite both of these, let's go ahead and do the first polynomial in red. So we're going to have y squared plus y minus 1. Well, we have y squared here, y and a constant, and so we don't need to use any placeholders. And so we're just going to write that. So we have y squared plus y minus 1. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to write our second polynomial, which is 2y squared minus y minus 1. And so if I go ahead and look at my variables next one, and so we have y squared lined up, we have y lined up, and then we have our constants lined up. And so if I go ahead and go through and do that, I have y squared plus 2y, which is going to give us a 3y squared, because technically I have an imaginary 1 in front of any variable. And so I'm just going to add those in. Might help you guys see it. So when I go here, I have a positive 1y minus 1y. And so it's just like anything. If we have 1 minus 1, we get 0. And so we're actually going to cancel that, and we can say plus 0y and use that placeholder. And then we're going to go to our constants, which is here, and we're going to have negative 1 minus 1. And so it's going to be a negative 2. And so our final answer, once we simplify that, is going to be 3y squared minus 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at your turn. So we're not going to do the reflect here, and we're going to go to your turn on page 831. And so we're going to find the difference using a vertical format. And so let's go ahead and do number 4. And so I'm going to go ahead and rewrite above this, because I see a cubed here, but I don't see a squared. And so we're going to have negative z cubed plus 0z squared minus 2z minus 1. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for polynomial 2. We're going to distribute that negative to each term, and we're also going to use our placeholder, our 0z squared. And so I have a negative times a negative z cubed is going to give us a positive z cubed. And then again, we're using our placeholder for squared, because I don't actually have that in there. And then we're going to distribute again that negative to this positive 2z, and so we're going to have minus 2z, and then we're going to distribute that negative once more to that positive 1, and we're going to get minus 1. And so now if I go ahead and write that vertically, I have negative z cubed plus 0z squared minus 2z minus 1. And then I'm going to write my second polynomial underneath. So I have a positive z cubed plus 0z squared minus 2z minus 1. And so if I go ahead and combine those, I'm going to be able to cancel those. I'm going to be able to cancel those. I get a 0z squared. And then I have a negative minus 2z. So I have negative 2z here minus 2z. So I'm going to get negative 4z. And I have a negative 1 minus 1, which gives me a negative 2. And so my final simplified answer would be negative 4z minus 2. And that's how we subtract polynomials.